on in, grab yourself a hymn book. Go ahead and raise your hand with a favorite. It can be your second favorite. Faster. Keep your thumb in that one. You said 251? Yeah, 1 second. 251. And what was yours? 431. All right. We're going to start with 251. Let's all stand for our first song. 251, Near the Cross. 251. I'm going to get blood on my hand. Jesus, keep me near the cross, where a precious fountain, free to hold a healing stream, flows from Calvary's mountain. In the cross, in my glory ever, till my raptured soul shall find rest beyond the river. Near the cross, a trembling soul, love and mercy found me. There the bright and morning star sheds his beams around me. In the cross, in my glory ever, till my raptured soul shall find rest beyond the river. Near the cross I'll watch and wait, holding, trusting ever, till I reach that golden strand, just beyond the river. In the cross, in my glory ever, till my raptured soul shall find rest beyond the river. Amen. Great singing. You may be seated. All right, it is now testimony time. Who has something they want to praise the Lord for this evening? Heidi. Anybody else? Pastor.
I'm thankful and happy with our church, and specifically that we have been able to accept the free and phone down 500. And it's really needs to be accepted. And to go to congregations, I'm really, and I'm happy you all.
Anybody else? Mom. Praise the Lord. Anybody else? Someone's so good. Heidi. Anybody else? Oh, praise the Lord. It was a blessing that it wasn't raining today because it was up on a roof all day. So praise the Lord that it was a pretty nice day. Just held off. It's kind of sun shining out today is what it did. So praise the Lord for that. Time worked out very nice. Mom. Alright. That's all praises for this evening. The ushers will come on down as we have our special announcements. For our special announcements, don't forget, read chapter 3 of Genesis. We're entering into our new book of the Bible, going over for our special Bible visitors right before our Sunday school classes in the morning as the ushers are coming on down. We'll go all the way until after chapter 5 will be our special review quiz. It'll be different this time. It's gonna be a Family Feud style. You looking forward to that, Stephen? What? Start studying. I'm gonna message you tomorrow. Talk about this later. All right, James, will you ask the blessing on the offering this evening? Take your inbooks to page number 431. 431, I Must Tell Jesus. That's the one you wanted, right? 431. I must tell Jesus all of my trials. I cannot bear these burdens alone. In my one more favorite for our last song, Pastor?
Well, I'll give everybody a chance.
All right, 5, 4, 3. All right, no one's got anything. Go ahead.
We come this far by faith.
All right, ready? We're gonna sing this song hard. Gonna help me, James. Ready? What's that? Okay. We've come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in His holy word. He's never failed us yet. Oh, we can't turn back. We've come this far by faith. Don't be discouraged when troubles come your way. He'll bear all your burdens and turn all your night into day. Oh, we've come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in His holy word. He's never failed us yet. Oh, we can't turn back. We've come this far by faith. Pastor.
Well, for your information, our situation is I'm scheduled to have a drain put in for my liver, and that will be on the 12th, 2 weeks from today. And it could be an outpatient procedure if everything goes well. So I'm voting for everything to go well, of course. That was a good doctor, and I appreciated everything he did for us and what the Lord did go before us and provide that. How many of you noticed that little storm on Monday? And did anybody else besides Miss Mary have a disruption of power? Well, that was a blessing. Not for Miss Mary, but for the rest of you, of course. Take your Bibles and go with me to Proverbs chapter 26. And we looked at the fool, and we looked at the slothful fellow, and we looked at the guy that's wise in his own conceits. And now we're looking at, it's really in the section of mind your own business. And I kind of like this section. 26, verse 20, Proverbs. So the Bible here says, where no wood is, there the fire goeth out. We got to a certain age, and my dad said, guys, keep the fire going. Got 4 or 5 teenage boys in the house. You can carry in wood. You can put it in the fire. Don't let the fire go out. This is a neutral statement. If you're heating your house with fire, wood, it's important it don't go out, right, Brother Greg? Have you ever seen somebody back their vehicle up a little bit and it stalled or something, and then they said, fire went out? If there's a fire in your engine that's getting your car going and it sputters and goes out, that's not good either. If you got a fire under your eggs, cooking them in the morning. Has anybody ever got the pan on the stove and thought they turned it on and they're like waiting and waiting for it to cook and going, what in the world's going on here? If there's a fire heating your hot water in your house, you want that fire to stay going. if you're sleeping on the couch and it's on fire, that's not the fire that you want to keep going. So this is a neutral statement. Now, has anybody heard the saying or the phrase, pouring gas on the fire? Now, this usually is an indication that someone was a little irritated or mad and somebody came along and really gave them some extra energy, right? And we've probably all been in a situation where we poured gas on a fire or somebody poured gas on our fire. Now, has anybody here actually poured gas on a real fire? My wife caught me one time. Brother Bill, Brother Greg, I imagine. You know, yeah, it's all boys. Now, I'll say this. It's best not to pour the gas out of the gas can on the fire, to pour it in some small container and then throw it on the fire or something. But I wanted to bring this up specifically because in this situation, it's talking about your anger or your frustration or your dissatisfaction or unhappiness of some sort or complaining, and somebody comes along and they get you all riled up. But the fire was already in you whenever they came and poured the gas on it, because if you pour gas various other places and there's no fire, all you get is a stinky smell of gas. There's got to be a fire. So it goes back to what the Bible tells us. Take heed to yourself. And sometimes we're all defensed up about the other person pouring gas on our fire instead of thinking about keeping our wick trimmed and keeping our fire in a good spot. And I want to say that the Lord gives us a decision there. I took and did a couple of words that also support the idea of a talebearer. A talebearer is also a tattletale, a blabbermouth, a busybody, a betrayer, a gossip, a scorner, a whisperer, and I threw in arsonist because we've got that guy last week throwing firebrands. In James chapter 3, we go back and say, even so the tongue is a little member and boasts great things. Behold how great a matter a little fire kindleth. And we talked a little bit about wildfires last week. In verse 6 here in James says, the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. So is the tongue among our members, that it defileth the whole body, and setteth on fire the course of nature. It is set on fire of hell. I took and I looked up a few things we can do to be better situated for forest fires. While Reagan was president, he had a policy that they would go in and they would allow people in federal forests to cut trees that had fallen down. So people went in there and they cut those trees up and they took them for firewood. Now, in California, in that area, they have a fire season and the wind blows a certain way, and if there's anything that happens, there's trouble. Guys, we have a fire season too. And we're all used to seeing, like, where a spark hit the road and bam, it burned for 300 yards up the side of 205. And, oh, it wasn't all black and dark over there yesterday, but all that grass just burned. And there's a couple that were caused down 84, and somebody was dragging a little chain on their trailer, hitting and sparking and throwing the sparks up. They never got up with that person to say, hey, you started 3 fires going down 84. There's a lot of different ways this can happen. I want to get back to all that firewood that people cut and took out of the woods. And then when there was a fire, there wasn't so much stuff there to burn. Now, a new administration came in. They said, we're not going to do that anymore. We're just going to let the parks be natural, and we're going to let all the trees rot and go back into the woods and return life and create little places for squirrels and bugs and slugs and all this kind of stuff. And we're not going to go cut all that as fire. We're going to leave it. An accumulation of 8 years. And there was some fires there that were horrible because they had so much fuel. Now, you ever been to somebody's house and they had like a bonfire? They're going to say, oh, the fire's just about to go out and we're going to, and then somebody comes and puts 3 more logs on it. So, hey, I wasn't planning on staying up till 2 in the morning. It was just about to go out. I was going to douse it a little and go in. You got to be safe with fire. And you got to know the conditions. A couple of the different things that I came up with from the Fire Ready was to avoid accidental fire starting, clear piles of leaves and stuff. Don't leave that hanging around your house because it's a perfect spot for a spark to get into and cause an issue. Cut your lawn short, especially if you know there's fires in the area. I think of the different mornings waking up here and you can smell the smoke. Got ashes on your car. You can't see the fire, but you know it's burning somewhere. And not terribly far away. Trim up the leaves on your trees up about 6 feet, and the fire has a hard time jumping up to it. Remove anything that would burn out on your deck, and they've got a couple of different things. Here's what you should do 5 feet from your house. Here's what you should do 20 feet, and here's what you should do to the ring around your property. I want to look at this and say the fires that we're going to look at are more in your relationships and in your life. I say that the Bible tells us the whisper separates chief friends. Maintain your relationships. We've all looked at the movie Fireproof, and it's about a marriage. But I want to go back and say, fireproof your friendships also. And unfortunately, in relationships, there's lines that people draw and are crossed, and people don't talk to each other anymore. And the thing is, some relationships are stronger than one bad disagreement, and if they're maintained, they will be. I'll say, remove fuel. If you say something to somebody and it annoys them, and then you say it again or something like it, and it annoys them, what's going to happen the third time you say it? See, where there's no wood, the fire goes out. If all you do is annoy somebody, and you know that that's what gets them, that's their button, quit pushing it. Show them some grace. Work around that. Having a plan of action. And this is what happens to us a lot. We react. The circumstances, our emotions, the moment, and we're like a little cork on top of a wave. The wave goes up, whoop, and we're up there, and bam, the wave goes down, and we're way down. Having a plan. All of us have been carried by circumstances, and then I'm going to say good communication. And this is between husband and wife, between friends, between children, siblings in a family, between parents and children, and communicate. In the area of fire, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. When my mom was young, she and I were talking about this about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks. She got, their family lived in town for a little while. Now, they had a farm they lived on eventually, but they lived in town. And in town, they had a fire in the area as the thing they lived in. and she remembered her dad taking and pulling the washer and dryer off the wall and throwing them down the steps to save them from that fire. She told me that she'd gotten a tiny Tears doll, and she had it 3 weeks. And the fire, she looked through the stuff and could never find it. Burned up. Now, better the doll than her, of course, but it was a loss that left a mark on her, and she would always say something about a fire. Firefighters will often fight fire with fire, and I was thinking about this, and I studied it a little. This is particularly for forest fires. So if a fire is burning this way, they come here and they cut a line in, and they try to make a 6 or 8 foot dirt patch, and then they start fire and they watch it, and they want the fire to burn back toward the other fire, and then when they get together, bam, there's a wide area for the fire to try to cross. Now I know that embers went all the way across the Columbia River when we had the gorge fire. That's a long way. And there can be things that sit and simmer, but it's interesting to fire with fire, because no, we're taught that we don't fight fire with fire in a scriptural sense, that we don't seek vengeance, we don't go back to railing with railing, cursing with cursing. We stop and we fight, not overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. If our enemy comes to us, he coals the fire on his head. And it's not a harmful or hurtful fire. We stop and we do acts of kindness. We stop and we give righteousness. Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in so doing, thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. Our fire is the goodness. We respond to an enemy with goodness. It heaps coals of fire on his head. He doesn't understand it. The goodness, done properly and with a good motive, will slow him down and make him say, what in the world is going on? He'll respond one of two ways. He'll see the error of his way and he'll make peace, or he'll be more frustrated and continue to mistreat you. But still, the outtake is, don't be overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good. When you have a fire, and a lot of times the fire is a wonderful servant for us, like I mentioned, it can heat up a pot of tea, cook an egg, it can heat your house, it can heat your water. You can take a fire and burn things that are unwanted, but if the fire is not the servant and becomes the master and it's burning your house down, it's a whole different thing. And honestly, you have a fire inside of you. And sometimes that fire is some of the energy that you bring to life, and some of the essence of your personality, and it's not bad, it's good. When it's serving you and it's serving others, and it's a blessing. But sometimes the fire gets the better of us, and instead of an edge and a desire to push ourselves forward, it becomes a burning anger and sometimes even hatred. And that's when the problem. I would say, have a plan to act. Remove flammable material. Make sure your friendships and your friends. In Proverbs 26, down in 22, just a couple of it now, it says the words of a talebearer as wounds. They go down into the innermost part of the belly. If you have heartburn and your digestive tract is on fire, and you get that reflux coming up, and you've got problems of pressure, and like, oh, this is miserable, and I need some oral LAIDS. How do you spell relief? And what can I take? And go get the Tums, and everybody does something different, but certainly want to get relief from that. You got somebody saying something to you, and it's just like a bird. I've got things that have been said to me, or things that I've went through or dealt with, and I could not get any relief. My relief and my blessing was to just stop thinking about it, forget about it, and just like write it. It's done, it's over, paid in full, and move on. But you have to have a plan to act, or it's going to bother you again and again and again. Don't let others feed your fire in a negative sort of way. I've done the thing where I've grabbed two people and I said, you're going to take that from them, and then they go over and say something. Then I go over to the other person and say, well, you ought to stick up for yourself, and then they go over and they say something. And sometimes that's how it happens to us. Sometimes we get caught out in left field thinking, what's everybody going to think about this? And we allow the opinions or our perception of the opinions of others to cause us problems. It's better to be thought a fool and remain silent than open your mouth and remove all doubt. Sometimes the best thing to say is nothing, but make sure it's your plan. There's in Proverbs 16, a froward man soweth strife, and a whisper separated chief of friends. And that person comes along, does their damage, and they leave, and they couldn't care less. And they're not invested one bit. And you took the statements of a person that you didn't have a vested relationship with, and you broke down the relationship that you really should have valued and was part of your life and part of your foundation. And it happens. The talebearer was so discord, he'll move on. The thing is, you get to decide who you value and who you listen to. Cast out the scorner, and contention shall go out. Yea, strife shall and reproach shall cease. So it's the same as where there's no fuel, the fire goes out. Where there's no wood, it ceases. You remove those things, and you have the blessing. It's not your job to have an opinion about everything. Whoever you are. It's our human nature that we jump to opinion and we value it super high. There might be information you don't have. There might be good reasons, not excuses. I want to say that we can look at everyone in their life and we project them as having an easier, better time and situation, more advantages. And sometimes the people we're looking at think that they've had it worse off than we have. I look around here and I see a bunch of people that got to be born in America. What a blessing. I see a group of people that are free. I see a group of people that are free to worship God in their country. I see blessing and goodness and grace. I see God being very good to us. I see families together. I see fellowship and I see friendship. And if you follow things properly, you'll come into God's house and you'll find the treasure. And it'll be the other people. It'll be the grace. It'll be the acceptance that you find. A lot of times, the people who are free only have prisons they build for themselves. And many times those things happen right in our mind. So look and say, where there's no wood, the fire goes out. Where there's no talebearer, the strife ceases. Let's say, when is somebody a talebearer? And when is somebody telling something that is important? When I was principal at the school and something big happened, I'd get everybody that was involved and I would separate them. I'd make them sit for a while and then I'd go talk to them one by one. And if I got a consistent story, I knew I was getting the truth. Now, a lot of times there's the attitude not be a snitch or not be a stool pigeon or that kind of thing. There's a place where you don't spill your guts and you're not a talebearer and you don't run around looking for other people's business, and I'm strongly invested in that. But there's a time where you say, hey, here's what happened, when you have a direct question and you follow back. Now, anytime I ever ask my kids, who did this? And they were in a group. I did not want Zane to say Zach did it. I say, no, if you didn't do it, you just be quiet right now. Somebody in this group did it, and I want them to have the character to step forward, and I don't want the rest of you to learn how to be tattletales. Since we got everybody here, in 1 Thessalonians 4, starting in 11, it says, and that ye study to be quiet and to do your own business and to work with your own hands as we have commanded you. In 2 Thessalonians 3, 10 and 11, for even when we were with you, this we commanded, that any would not work, neither should he eat. This is what verse that saved the Jamestown colony. In verse 11, the next one says, for we hear that there are some which walk among you disorderly, not working at all, but are busybodies. They go from one person's business to the next. And busybody, another word for gossip. They go in 1 Peter 15:4, it says, but let none of you suffer as a murderer, or as a thief, or as an evildoer, or as a busybody in other men's matters. Now we got the guy that took the dog by the ears, and he was a meddler. We've got the madman who threw firebrands and he threw death and arrows. He's crazy. We got the arsonist here that would like to see something burn. I think that there's a blessing to sitting and watching a fire. But I mean a contained fire, in a little fire bit or a bonfire, and my granddad would say, James, if you watch a fire and it helps your mind kind of think and knit out a problem. I found that interesting. Another time we burned a bunch of brush from a tree that we cut down, and he said, James, there's enough heat coming out of this fire to heat your house all winter. We just can't figure out how to trap it and store it and use it. And I thought, that's so true and interesting. And if we could take that heat and catch it in batteries or something, take that home and heat the whole house all winter, right, Greg? Fascinating thought. My granddad was so interesting. And I like that he included me in a lot of his thoughts and ideas. So, the fire can be a huge blessing, but it can also be a terrible detriment. And the point is, God's given us a control of it. He's given us that ability and that opportunity. I want to say, strange how when you got $20 at church, it seems like a lot of money to give. But when you go to the store and you start shopping, it's hardly anything. It's strange how a 2-hour service would be like, whoa! But if you go to the ball game, it's 4 hours. Strange how you can't find a word to say sometimes in prayer, but you have no trouble talking with other people. Strange how you read a whole chapter of the Bible and you're like, whew, that was a lot. You read half a book and you go, man, I might have time to finish it. And it's strange how everybody wants to go to the show or the ball game or the rodeo and they want to sit in the front row. People come to church and they all want to sit in the back row. I see you back there saying, it's funny how we're going to have something at church, but I need 2 weeks so that I can get it into my schedule, but something comes up last minute for other events and I can fit it right in. Strange how when I'm learning something spiritual or doctrine-wise, so hard. But somebody goes through some gossip one time and I got the whole thing. Isn't that interesting? I want to encourage you, have a plan, do good communication. If a fire is negative, take the fuel away. Make sure there's not stuff there that's going to burn. And maintain your relationships. I'm going to ask Zane if he'll come up and help me now. All this got me thinking about this. Okay, you think we're ready? All right. Once I had a tattler's wagon, which behind... No, start. You started. You started.
Once
I had a tattler's wagon, which behind me I did pull, just as fast as I could empty it. Some friends would fill it full. By and by I got so busy there was little else to do, but still I'd meet the saints and sing. I'm going through, Jesus, I'm going through. Well, I was going through and tattling as I went, but going through like that, you know, is it worth a cent? I talk about my neighbors, I'd give me tattles too, then we'd go to church and sing. Give me that old-time religion, 'tis the old-time religion, 'tis that old-time religion, it's good enough for me. We sang, I want to see him, I think somehow we lied, for we would load our tattle wagon up with junk inside. Then we would go to tattle as we went over the back fence too. Then we'd go to church and sing. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory. If someone testifies and prays, some good sister doubts, and others have no confidence when a certain party shouts. If someone hears a little lie for some poor reason told, he loads his wagon up and sings. I believe Jesus saves, and his blood washes whiter than snow. Oh, the thing that we should do is smash those wagons now, and each one bridle his own tongue and stop this thing somehow. Let's stop this awful tattling, let's bring it to an end, and we can go to church and sing. Makes me love everybody, makes me love everybody, makes me love everybody. It's good enough for me. All right. Now you can think about that talebearer running around with his little wagon. And if you find your wagon full of something, smash it down. Get rid of it, dump it out, give it to the Lord. Saints,